What did you expect, Chioma? He sneered. You brought a beautiful young woman into my life and expect me to ignore her? If anything, this is your fault. You should have known better. Who would you blame? A man who is attracted to his stepdaughter, or a woman who married a serial cheat with her teenage daughter? Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for always stopping by. If this is the first time you're coming across this channel, welcome to my channel. I share beautiful and inspiring stories on here. Please do well to subscribe, like, share, drop a comment, and don't forget to turn on the notification button so you can always get notified each time I drop a story. Thank you. Okocha was sitting in his office on a plush leather chair, gazing out of the floor-to-ceiling windows at the bustling Lagos street below. As the sun dipped behind the skyscrapers, he felt the satisfaction of a successful day. Deals closed, profits booming, and yet another milestone reached. But the gunning emptiness in his chest reminded him of his biggest failure, his marriage to Evelyn, which had dissolved like a sandcastle swept away by the tide. The scandal of their separation still haunted him. His family and friends had begged him to be faithful and had warned him about his wandering eye, but Okocha had brushed them off, lured by his endless charm and the thrill of conquest. The irony wasn't lost on him. He had wealth, influence, and everything that should make a man content, yet he had squandered it all for fleeting moments of pleasure. Evelyn had left, taking the stability and grounding he hadn't realized he needed until it was gone. Now, 2 years later, Okocha was a changed man, or so he told himself. He had spent the last year determined to reinvent himself, becoming more focused on his business and keeping himself distant from the endless temptations that seemed to be an inevitable part of his social cycles. No more scandals, he promised himself. He was ready for something different, something real. And then he met Chioma. Chioma was unlike any woman Okocha had met before. She carried herself with a quiet dignity, a reserved confidence that intrigued him from the start. She wasn't one of the glittering socialites who clung to his arm at events, or the young women eager for a slice of his wealth. Chioma was a single mother with a quiet life, raising her teenage daughter, Ada, in a modest neighborhood. She worked as a project manager at a local firm, and while she wasn't wealthy, she was fiercely independent. Her priorities were her work, her daughter, and her own sense of self-respect, values that captivated Okocha precisely because they were so rare in his world. From their first meeting at a mutual friend's house, Okocha found himself enchanted by Chioma's honesty. He was guided at first, but he saw a flicker of interest in her eyes when he shared stories about his own struggles, carefully leaving out the most scandalous parts. Chioma appreciated his dedication to his work and his hard-earned success, and over time, she even found herself touched by his determination to win her trust. It was a challenge Okocha hadn't expected, but he welcomed it, and for the first time in years, he felt a genuine desire to prove himself worthy of someone's love. After 6 months of dating, Okocha knew he wanted to marry Chioma. They shared many late-night conversations about life, love, and family. He often found himself telling her about his hopes for the future. One evening, while they were out to dinner, he finally broached the topic of marriage. Chioma, he said, reaching for her hand across the table, I know I have had my share of mistakes, but with you, everything feels different. I want to do this right. I want to be with you, build a future together. Chioma's expression softened, but a hint of hesitation lingered. Okocha, you know my life is different from what you are used to. I have a dive to think about. I can't afford to be reckless. I need to be sure. Okocha nodded, looking directly into her eyes. I understand, Chioma, and I promise you, I will love Ada as my own. She deserves a father figure, and I want to be that for her. You both deserve stability, and I am ready to give that to you. It was that promise that ultimately melted Chioma's final defenses. To hear him commit not only to her, but to her daughter as well, meant everything to her. The thought of Ada finally having a male role model, someone strong and successful, filled Chioma with hope. She gave him her answer, accepting his proposal, and they began planning their lives together. Okocha felt a thrill of joy and relief. He had convinced Chioma, and now he had the opportunity to show her and her dad that he could be the man they deserved. When Okocha first met Ada, he was struck by her quiet beauty. She was 17 with her mother's delicate features, but her own unique, mysterious hair. Tall and slender, she had an elegance about her, a hint of shyness that reminded him of Shioma in their early days. Ada barely spoke during their first meeting, and her reserved nature seemed to interest him in ways he couldn't explain, but he dismissed the thoughts quickly, focusing instead on the role he had promised to play. As the weeks passed, Okocha made an effort to bond with Ada, finding ways to include her in his outings with Shioma. He would often take them out for dinner or to events, trying to make her feel comfortable. Slowly, Ada began to open up, and he found himself playing the role of a guide, offering advice about her future, college, and ambitions. However, there was something about the way she looked at him that he couldn't quite place, a kind of curiosity perhaps. He convinced himself it was simply the natural curiosity a young girl might have about her future stepfather, but a subtle tension lingered in their interactions, one that Kosha didn't dare acknowledge, let alone explore. Yet as time passed, he found himself thinking of her more often than he should. It was unsettling, and he struggled to control it. One evening, while Shama was away on a work trip, Ada came to him for advice. She was struggling with some school issues and wanted his guidance. They sat in the living room, just the two of them, talking late into the evening. Okocha found himself captivated by her vulnerability and the way she spoke about her insecurities, her dreams, and her fears. In that moment, he felt a strong protective instinct, but beneath it an attraction he knew he shouldn't feel. He fought to suppress it, reminding himself of his promise to Shioma and of the commitment he had made to be a father figure to Ada. But the lingering tension only grew, leaving him with a sense of confusion and guilt he couldn't shake. As he walked out to her room that night, he felt a chill run down his spine. Ada looked up at him, her expression unreadable, as if sensing his inner conflict. He forced a smile, bidding her good night, but the image of her haunted him long after he had returned to his own room. This encounter left Okocha with a new and disturbing awareness of his feelings towards Ada. He couldn't ignore it, and despite his best intentions, he found himself drawn to her more and more. As the wedding day approached, the line between family and forbidden attraction blurred in ways that he knew could lead to devastating consequences. Weeks passed as Okocha tried to silence the conflicting emotions stirring within him. On the surface, he kept his promise to Shioma, becoming a father figure to Ada, a support system and a guiding hand. He reasoned that his admiration was merely protective affection, yet he couldn't shake the intensity of his feeling towards her. The more he suppressed it, the stronger it seemed to grow, like a dark secret he was harboring in the races of his mind. Meanwhile, Shoma and Okosha's relationship deepened and their connection seemed to flourish. Shoma thrilled with the impending marriage, leaned on Okosha for support and guidance, trusting him implicitly. She noticed how well he treated Ada, how patiently he listened to her concerns, and how involved he was in her life. To Chioma, Okocha was the answer to her prayers, a stable, loving partner, and a dedicated father figure for her daughter. But for Ada, things weren't as simple. She seemed she sensed a subtle change in Okocha, a lingering gaze here, an unintended touch there. At first, she dismissed these gestures, attributing them to her own insecurities, but as the days turned into weeks, her unease grew. She felt caught in a strange web of emotions, unsure of what was real and what was imagined. One evening, as Chioma busied herself with wedding arrangements, Ada and Okocha found themselves alone again. They had just returned from a casual outing, and Chioma had gone to bed early, exhausted from the day's activities. Ada sat across from Okocha in the living room, talking about her future plans and aspirations. She spoke about wanting to study abroad, her excitement to experience new cultures, and the dreams she had held onto since she was a child. Okocha listened, genuinely interested, but as she spoke, he found himself lost in her words, captivated by her energy and passion. He marveled at how grown up she seemed and how mature her thoughts were for someone her age. As she laughed, he couldn't ignore the pull, the growing attraction he felt towards her. For a brief moment, he imagined what life would be like if circumstances were different, if she wasn't Shioma's daughter. But these thoughts were dangerous, and he knew it. He quickly pulled himself back, attempting to redirect his thoughts and mask his emotion. Yet there was something in his gaze that Ada noticed, something that left her feeling exposed and vulnerable. She felt a confusing mix of admiration and discomfort, uncertain of where the boundaries lay in this strange relationship. As the wedding day drew closer, Ada grew more withdrawn, and once cheerful personality dulled by a sense of unease she couldn't explain to anyone, least of all her mother. Chioma attributed it to typical pre-wedding stress, assuming that Ada was simply adjusting to the idea of having a new father figure in her life. She brushed it off as a teenage phase, confident that Ada would eventually accept the changes. Okocha, however, noticed Ada's discomfort and felt a pang of guilt. He tried to reassure her in small ways, offering her support and advice, hoping to bridge the distance growing between them. But with every gesture, the line he had promised himself he wouldn't cross blurred further. What began as an innocent attempt to provide guidance turned into private moments where emotions smelled beneath the surface, unspoken yet tangible. One evening, Chioma organized a family dinner to celebrate their engagement, inviting close friends and family. The house was filled with laughter, music, and the scent of delicious Nigerian dishes Chioma had prepared. Ada sat quietly, watching as Okocha interacted with her mother, the two of them exchanging loving glances and an affectionate gesture. Yet every now and then she caught Okocha's eyes on her. It was subdued, a fleeting gaze, but it held a weight that left her unsettled. As the night wore on, Ada felt an overwhelming urge to escape the confines of the celebration, to distance herself from the confusing emotions swelling within her. After dinner, she slipped away to the backyard, seeking solace in the quiet night air. She stood beneath the starlight sky, lost in thought, when she heard footsteps behind her. Turning, she found Okocha standing there, watching her with an intensity she couldn't place. "Are you okay, Ada?" He asked softly, his voice filled with concern. She nodded, looking away, unsure of how to respond, but he didn't leave. Instead, he moved closer, his presence both comforting and unwavering. "You know, I have always admired your strength," he continued. "You're so young, but you carry yourself with grace beyond your years. It's remarkable." Ada felt her cheeks flush, a mixture of pride and discomfort bubbling within her. "Thank you, Okocha," she replied, her voice barely a whisper. They stood in silence, the night air thick with tension. Okocha knew he should leave. He knew he should turn around and go back inside, but something held him there, a force he couldn't resist. In that moment, as they stood alone beneath the stars, a dangerous realization settled over him. He was no longer in control. Days turned into weeks, and Okocha found himself entangled in emotions he couldn't escape. Despite his best efforts, he couldn't resist the allure of his own desires. He began finding excuses to be around Ada, to engage her in conversation that felt innocent on the surface but carried a hidden weight. Ada, for her part, felt increasingly trapped. She couldn't understand the emotions she felt towards Okocha, nor could she confide in anyone about the tension that smelled between them. Every time she tried to distance herself, he would pull her back, offering reassurance and support that left her feeling both cherished and confused. She found herself caught between admiration for his confidence and a nagging sense of unease that she couldn't shake. One afternoon, while Shoma was out running errands, Okocha invited Ada to join him for a lunch at a small cafe. She hesitated, unsure if it was appropriate, but he assured her, insisting it was a casual outing. As they sat across from each other, their conversation turned to personal topics. Okocha asked her about her dreams, her fears, her aspirations, his question diving deeper than before. The air between them felt changed, and Ada couldn't ignore the way he looked at her, a look that was both caring and dangerously intense. In that moment, Ada felt her defenses begin to crumble. She wanted to believe that his intentions were pure, that he saw her as a daughter and nothing more. But his words, his gaze, and his presence told a different story. She felt herself drawn to him in ways she couldn't understand, her innocence clouding her perception of his true intentions. Okocha, emboldened by her vulnerability, took her hand across the table, a small but significant gesture. Ada, he whispered, his voice laced with emotion. You are special. You know that, don't you? Her heart raced, her mind whirlwind of conflicting emotions. She wanted to pull away to create distance between them, but his guilt held her captive. In that moment, she felt a connection she couldn't explain, a bond that left her both exhilarated and terrified. As the days passed, their interactions grew bolder, slipping past the boundaries of priority. Ada's confusion deepened, her trust in Okocha clashing with the unsettling feeling he stirred within her. She knew deep down that something was wrong, but her innocence prevented her from fully understanding the danger she was in. Meanwhile, Chioma remained blissfully unaware, caught up in the excitement of their upcoming wedding. She trusted Okocha implicitly, believing in the promise he had made to be a father figure to her daughter. She had no reason to suspect that the man she loved, the man she was about to marry, was harboring intentions that could shatter their family. Yet, as the wedding day approached, Ada's behaviors grew increasingly erratic. She became withdrawn and distant, her once bright spirits dimmed by the weight of the secrets she couldn't share. Chioma noticed the change, but every time she tried to talk to Ada, her daughter brushed it off, offering vague reassurance that left Chioma both relieved and uneasy. The morning of Okocha and Chioma's wedding dawned bright and clear, a picture-perfect day for the celebration of their love. Chioma was radiant in her traditional attire, surrounded by friends and family, her heart overflowing with joy and anticipation. She had no inkling of the storm brewing beneath the surface, the dark secrets hidden behind the smiles and well wishes. Ada, however, could hardly breathe under the weight of the secret she carried. She watched her mother, who looked so beautiful and so happy, felt her heart twist in pain. The guilt and confusion threatened to overwhelm her, but she forced herself to smile and play the role of the supportive daughter. Throughout the ceremony, Okocha's gaze found us, each glance a reminder of the connection they shared, a reminder of the darkness lurking beneath their facades. His eyes held a mixture of guilt possession, and triumph, and Ada could barely look at him without feeling sick. As the vows were exchanged, Ada's mind drifted back to the moment she had shared with him. The lingering touches, whispered words that haunted her. She knew that once the wedding was over, once he was officially a stepfather, the consequences would become even more complicated, the betrayal even more unforgivable. But Okocha, unbothered, basked in the victory. He had Chioma's love, Ada's innocence, and a twisted satisfaction in the knowledge that both mother and daughter were both bound to him in a ways they couldn't fully comprehend. To him, this was the ultimate conquest, a testament to his power and charm. Days after the wedding, Ada could no longer contain the burden she carried. The guilt weighed on her, a suffocating presence that grew with each passing day. She knew she had to confront Okocha to tell him that what they had done was wrong and it needed to end before it destroyed her mother's happiness. She arranged to meet him one evening while Shoma was out running errands, determined to put an end to the twisted affair. When he arrived, she could see the anticipation in his eyes, but she stood her ground, her voice trembling with a mixture of anger and despair. Okocha, she began, struggling to keep her composure. We can't do this anymore. It's wrong. It's hurting me. And if my mother ever found out, it would destroy her. Okocha's expression darkened, his charm slipping away to reveal a more ruthless side. He stepped closer, his tone cold and unheeding. Ada, you knew what you were getting into. Don't act like you are innocent in this. Besides, your mother wouldn't believe you. She trusts me and she's happy. Why run that? His words cut through her like a blade, the weight of his manipulations crushing down on her. She realized in that moment that he would never let her go, that he would continue to control her as long as he had power over her. But Ada wasn't prepared to let him win. She knew she had to break free, even if it meant exposing the truth and facing the fallout. In the days that followed, Ada wrestled with her decision, torn between her loyalty to her mother and her need to free herself from Okocha's grips. Finally, she couldn't take it any longer. She went to Shioma, her heart pounding, her voice trembling as she confessed everything. Mom, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. I need to tell you something, something terrible. Chioma listened, her expression shifting from confusion to shock as the truth unraveled before her. Ada's words left her shattered, her trust in Okocha completely destroyed. She couldn't believe that the man she had loved, the man she had trusted with her life, had betrayed her in the most unimaginable way. With a mixture of rage and heartbreak, Chioma confronted Okocha that night. The calm poised woman he had married was gone, replaced by a storm of fury that shook him to his core. She demanded answer, demanded to know how he could betray her, how he could take advantage of her daughter in such a veiled, unforgivable manner. But Okocha, unrepented, simply shrugged, his indifference cutting deeper than any words could. What did you expect, Chioma? He snarled. You brought a beautiful young woman into my life and expect me to ignore her? If anything, this is your fault. You should have known better. Chioma's, Chioma's heart broke anew, realizing that he felt no remorse, no shame for what he had done. In that moment, she knew that their marriage was over and that the life they had built together was a lie. She left him that night, taking Ada with her, determined to rebuild her life without him and to protect her daughter from his poison. In the weeks that followed, Chioma filed for divorce, cutting Okocha out of their lives completely. She took Ada and moved to a new town, hoping to give her daughter a chance at healing, a chance to rebuild her life away from the man who had betrayed them both. But the scars remained deeply into their hearts, a constant reminder of the darkness they had endured. Ada struggled with the trauma of her experience, haunted by the memories of her encounters with Okocha. She sought counseling, slowly walking through the pain and confusion, determined to regain a sense of normalcy. Chioma too faced her own battles, grappling with the guilt and regret that plagued her. wondering if she could have done something to prevent the tragedy that had unfolded. For Okocha, there was no redemption, no absolution. He continued his life alone, his reputation tainted, his wealth and success a hollow shell without the family he had lost. The darkness that had consumed him left him isolated, a prisoner of his own choices, trapped in a circle of regret and denial. The end. Please let me know what you think about the story in the comment section. Let me know your opinion.